Hello, everyone. This is your host, Debra Poneman, and I'd like to welcome you to our call with today's guest, Dr. Michael Smith. For over 2 decades, Dr. Michael Smith has worked to help empaths and highly sensitive people recognize and embrace their gifts. As a trained counselor, energy medicine practitioner, and a spirit medium, Dr. Michael's books, audios, and videos have touched nearly 1 million people worldwide. The power of his work has led to invitations to speak alongside visionaries like Greg Braden and Marcy Shimoff, along with appearances at the Omega Institute and in documentary films. Michael's truest desire is to be of humble service in facilitating deep empowerment and connection to spirit. Dr. Smith has spent the last 10 years working with indigenous healers around the world to more deeply explore human potential and spread an uplifting vibration of love. And today you'll discover if you are an empath, a gifted soul who's sensitive to energy. You'll also learn to set proper boundaries so that you are no longer drained or fatigued. You'll experience transformational energy exercises to discharge negative energy you may absorb and empower yourself with a process to stop negative thoughts in their tracks. Wow. Michael, thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the call.
Thank you so much, Debra. I'm here with my sacred space at my altar and ready for a fantastic call with you.
Wonderful. Wow. I bet that your altar is beautiful knowing you. So this is fantastic. And you know how I'd like to start out? If you could just tell us a little bit about your journey and what you believe to be the major turning points that allowed you to manifest this amazing work that you're doing now.
You bet. And welcome to everyone on the line tonight. Such an honor to join with you. My mother used to tell me when I was a child, she said my favorite word was the word why. I would be walking around, why this, why that? And that word has led me to a place where I'm at now. I became a counselor because I'm an empath and what might be called a sensitive person. Those gifts led me to that profession of listening to people and assisting and wanting to help. And as empaths and sensitive people, we are programmed. We want to know more. We're the people who want to get to the bottom of things, metaphysically, spiritually, existentially. So in order to do that, and in order to do it accurately, we must be clear, we must be clean, we must be aligned with spirit and with our highest self. So for myself, that process was pretty much set in motion around 2002, 2003. I was working as a counselor, a professor of counseling at the University of Wyoming, and my gut was telling me that there was something more, that there was something that I was missing, that the work that I was meant to do, that I came here to the earth to do, that my gut knew inside that I was meant to do, and I'm sure the listeners can probably relate to that feeling of just knowing. My gut was telling me, there was something else. There was something more that I was meant to do. And so because of that, because I wasn't listening, let's put it that way, my career kind of went off the tracks, I guess, if you will. I had to face a little bit of the shadow, some challenges and some tough things, and I wound up living in a tent on the side of the hill in Taos, New Mexico, and yet that experience was the most profound blessing of my life because I was able to have the time and the energy to explore amazing spiritual ceremonies like African ceremonies such as Santeria. I started following a Native American path, vision quests and sweat lodges and sun dances, learning about South American ceremonies, ayahuasca ceremonies, exploring and participating in Ayurvedic education and traditions, getting a certification in energy medicine. So it was actually just such a wonderful blessing that I was kicked out by spirit from the job that I thought was so secure and lucrative that it allowed me to come to the place where I'm at today, which is helping people to connect to their highest selves, helping them learn about who they really are, which is, for many people on the call tonight, you're going to discover that, wow, there's this new awareness out there for me. There's actually a label, empath, or highly sensitive person, that describes everything that I'm going through. And I'm so looking forward to sharing that and some of those traits with you tonight.
And that shall be my first question.
Okay.
What are some of the characteristics and traits so that we can know if we are, in fact, empaths? I think everybody considers themselves sensitive, but I think this is beyond sensitivity. So can you tell us what to look for?
Absolutely. Well, it starts off with the overriding trait is inability to feel and perceive energy. That's the bare bones description. So the more detailed description is, this is something that I hear from my clients all the time. I feel like I'm an alien here on Earth. I just feel like I don't belong here. And that speaks to an ability that all of us have, that we're coming to this earth for a reason. Our gut knows it, our soul knows it, and there's been a label that's been attached that describes empaths and highly sensitive people that you might also resonate with, and that is that of an earth angel, someone who comes here to help. So we have a deep desire to help, and that comes from our soul. Okay, that's probably one of the biggest traits. Now, because of that desire to help, we're really good listeners. We're natural counselors. Other people come up to us and we pull stories out of them without even trying. So if you're someone who has ever walked around and all of a sudden you've got someone telling you their deepest stories and their deepest secrets, you're probably an empath or a sensitive person, because you have that desire to help, and it manifests as being a really good listener. Because you're so tuned in, and because empaths and sensitive people are tuned into others, we're very tuned into the emotional body and the emotions of other people. So because of that, most of us, not all of us, most of us have an ability to cry easily, to feel the emotions very deeply. And related to that is that sometimes we have experiences where we just have this feeling that something is wrong, or we may feel an emotion like sadness or frustration, or just this feeling in our gut that something is off. We may even go as far as describing it as, freaking out. I've heard some of my coaching clients describe it as that. And you may have found out, at the time, you may not have known what this was related to, only to find out later that maybe a loved one was sick or ill or going through some kind of traumatic experience or deeply emotional experience. That's a very common trait of empaths and sensitive. Another really big trait is that we're very sensitive to our surroundings and we avoid chaos. So we tend to avoid public places that have dissonant forms of energy, like malls and the shopping centers and the Walmarts of the world. We tend to feel very safe and secure when we're insulated in the relative safety of our own space, our own home. And so many clients may have challenges sometimes even just stepping out into any form of a public place. And that's because we have a nervous system that's designed to feel energy. And that means we feel all the energy, the light and the darkness, if you will, right? It's a very empathic, the word empath and the label of highly sensitive people are just labels to describe a phenomena that is very, very common. All of the research shows that this is incredibly common across cultures worldwide. Research by Dr. Elaine Aron shows that. And the research also shows that about 80% of worldwide, 80% of empaths and sensitive people are female, and about 20% are male. And if you want to know more, those are just some of the traits, the basic bare bones traits. If you want to know more, on the special offer page, there's a quiz there that you can link to and find out more about just what exactly this is all about.
Well, I love that quiz. I'm going to go take it. And I think that I might have shared this with you before, but when I was a little girl, I was maybe 7 years old, and I went to New York City with my parents. And I always noticed that when my parents were talking about another individual, and they would be talking about them like on a superficial level, and I would think, no, this is actually what's going on with that individual. They're very unhappy, or they want to leave their spouse. And I would notice that even when I was little, but I never thought of it as being an empath until I heard you speak. And it reminded me of this time when I was in New York, And I was 7 years old, and I was going to a restaurant with my parents, and there was a blind man outside, and he had a tin cup with pencils, just like your classic vision of a blind person. And I remember looking at his eyes and realizing what it meant that he couldn't see. And he actually had a sign on him that says, "You can bless, you can see, I can't." And I went into the restaurant and I started crying hysterically, and I could not stop crying. And my parents were like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I kept saying, the man. And I was just absolutely beside myself with sadness and with grief. So I think now looking back, that must have been because I am an empath. But my question is, how do we know what's coming from us and what's coming from other people?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. It's going to help educate and illuminate what this phenomenon, and it really is a global phenomenon that we're all waking up to. I had a similar experience when I was 7. I just looked at this man and I knew that this was the saddest man I had ever seen in my life, and I went off in the room and I had to just let it all out. And as you say, you were beside yourself, so was I. So those of us on the call that are realizing that whether you are aware of it or not, all of us have the ability to perceive the energy of other people. That is every single human being on the planet. Every person on this call tonight, you can and you do feel and perceive the energy of other people. Now, for people who identify as empaths and highly sensitive, the primary question that you want to ask yourself, and we call this the empath mantra in the work that I do here, is you want to ask yourself the question, what logical reason do I have to feel this way? So whatever it is that you're feeling and perceiving, during your day today or right now at this moment, you may be perceiving sadness or frustration or happiness or joy or whatever it is that you're perceiving. And it doesn't have to be an emotion. It can be a physical sensation, like a small dull ache. Check in with your body. This is what we do in the work, and this is what I teach, is a process of checking in with your body. Find the places of your body that are speaking to you right now. Close your eyes and just do what's called a body scan. Start at the top of your head and work your way down. And feel the physical sensations that are present that, unless I asked you and prompted you to do that process, you might have ignored. Okay? So knowing now and having done that body scan and knowing the places that may have lit up, so to speak, ask yourself the question, what reason do I have to feel this way? For empaths and highly sensitive people, the answer to that question, 80 to 85% of the time, is there is going to be no logical reason. The brain or the ego, the small mind, as we say, may have trouble connecting the dots to any particular person or thing. So what we then teach is a process that's explained by the acronym OPEN, which spells the word open. Now, open is intentional. We want to become more and more open, OPEN, by using the 4 processes that start with each of those letters of that word, and that is observing, perceiving, experiencing, and noticing. This is what we do more and more of, and you're going to do more and more of it tomorrow than you do today. And we're going to work on some exercises in this call tonight that will help you to enhance that process of awareness. Now, we each have additional centers of energy perception, all of us on the planet, and that is the gut, which is the home of the enteric nervous system. That's what science calls it. And then also the heart. You may have heard the phrase, we only use 10% of our brain. I like to say that we only use 10% of our energetic resources, because many of us ignore the fact that we have 2 additional brains in the form of a gut and a heart, which are constantly giving us information, and really rich information about, what's going on around us with the energy that we're connected to. So we tend to underutilize, most of us on the planet, especially empaths and highly sensitive, we underutilize these areas. So what we do is we bring them back online and help individuals become aligned with what their gut and their heart are feeling. Now, in the work that I do, I have been trained in a shamanic manner. I've worked over the last decade with many different forms of indigenous healing and what's known as shamanic healing. Those are fancy words for learning how to maneuver with energy and learning how to manipulate, it's not the best word, learning how to move energy, how to move with and move energy. Now, I'm going to sing a little bit of a healing song that we use in this process, in the process that we do. And I want you to just simply feel in your heart the vibrations of this song. Know that the song, we are calling forth divine energy, light energy, and that energy, because I've asked for it, is going to come through in the very small few bars of this healing song that I will sing. Let that light enter into your heart. This is what we're talking about here, okay? So let us connect, each of us in our own way, with your divine center. Go down to your heart and imagine your heart as a valve and open up the valve. And I'm going to connect with my divine center. And your only task is to simply feel. Now, if you're an empath or a sensitive person, you probably felt a change in your heart. You probably felt a change in vibration. You probably felt the force behind the intention of that vocalization that came out of the vocal cords. And the work that we do here in the Complete Empath Toolkit is designed to teach you how to do what I just did, which is nothing incredibly revelatory. It was simply just, my intention was to connect with the divine light and then just vocalize it through the vocal cords. Because I did that, I cleared my energy field and probably cleared the energy field of some of you on the call. We each have that ability. Everyone on the call tonight has the ability to do that, and that's what we teach in our program.
Amazing, that vocalization. It was so powerful. I was blown away, first of all. Second of all, is that how we create boundaries when we're constantly feeling the energy of the people around us?
Yes, it is absolutely connected. Now, we don't necessarily have a choice. What we just did there, that was intentional, right? That was an intentional creation of energy. We don't always have a choice as to what we feel and perceive out in the big bad world, right? And yet, we always have a choice as to how we respond to any situation. Now, if instead of creating light in that moment a few moments ago, you may have had an experience this week where instead of someone throwing light at you, someone was throwing, maybe anger or frustration at you, right? We're human, that happens. So what we teach in the program is that we always have a choice as to how we respond. Now, again, this is a process of becoming empowered as an empath, empowered as a human being. We can all do it. So we honor that we always have three choices in any given situation. And this is where your question about boundaries comes in. This is how we create, quote unquote, boundaries for ourselves. We can engage with the energy that's thrown at us. That's the first choice. The second choice is we can remain neutral. And the third choice is we can disengage. So along the spectrum of moving towards or moving away, that's called the spectrum of engagement. And you have a choice tonight. Think of a situation in your life. Let's do this. Let's do this exercise. Put your hand on your gut, everyone on the line, and just say hello to your gut. It may seem a little strange or awkward at first to be talking to your gut, and yet your gut is it's like a person. It has its own wonderful divine consciousness that is always there to serve you. And it loves, just like you, it loves being acknowledged. So simply say hello to your gut and tell it that you love it in your mind, right? And it will instantly, whether you're aware of it or not, it'll respond back to you with a feeling, okay? Now, for many of us who are empathic and sensitive, we tend to do too much. We take on too much. We say yes to too many external demands, and that includes, it comes from the desire to help. So will ask your gut, we ask you to ask the following question. Gut, where in my life am I doing too much? And I want you to feel the sensations, the visuals, the auditory, the data that comes up from your gut. Now, some of you may get it right away. You may get an answer right away. Where in my life am I doing too much? Your gut may offer you that answer right away. For others, it may not appear right away. So we honor that it may appear for you later today, tomorrow. When you ask the question, please know and have faith and trust that your answer will appear. Now, for most of you, you probably got an answer. There's probably that quote-unquote gut feeling, like, oh, yeah, I'm engaging maybe too much with this person. Maybe I'm engaging too much in this relationship my highest self is wanting me to pull back from. Maybe I'm doing too much at work. Maybe I'm putting too much energy in this particular area of my life. So if that happened for you, and if that came up for you, like, I'm just doing too much in this area, we just simply ask you to repeat the following mantra. I will no longer, and then fill in the blank with what you decide that you are no longer going to do. You're making a pledge here. And yes, I'm going to do it out of love for myself. I will no longer do this particular action or engage in this particular behavior. And yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to disengage out of love for me. So that's how we create boundaries. Because for empathic and sensitive people, we do too much for others. We ignore ourselves at our core, which is bright, shining light. We believe we're the ones who are wounded because we mistakenly believe that the energy of the people who we are around, which is low vibratory energy, which can be, we mistake that for us, and we believe that we're the ones who's wounded, and we believe we're the ones who are in need of help. And so we respond by simply engaging, sometimes out of fear. And what we want to do is, if we decide to engage, we don't want to engage out of fear. We want to engage out of love, or we want to remain neutral out of love, or we want to disengage out of love. What your gut asked you to do was to disengage out of love for yourself. That is one way, in a strong way, that you can create a boundary so that you are not constantly drained by the energy of other people.
Okay, I'm definitely going to do that, although when I asked my gut that question, and then you shared the list of all of the places that you could be, I was thinking, how about all the above? But this is a great tool, a very, very good tool. Thank you for that.
Very well.
And here's another question. Just on a day-to-day level, is it possible to be able to just turn the sensitivity off? Because if we're walking around in a sea of chaotic energy and we're very sensitive, can we turn it off at the moment?
That's a fantastic question. A lot of us believe erroneously that we can turn it off, and that's where we walk around banging our heads against the wall. It is not possible to turn it off because we are born with a nervous system that is hardwired to perceive. We are hardwired to get other people. We are hardwired to perceive the energy in our environment, because if we weren't hardwired that way, then we wouldn't be any good to humanity. We wouldn't be any good to other people. Now, what we can do is, instead of turning it off, we can cope with the energy that we perceive. As you said, the sea of chaotic energy is a great description. What we can do is we can tune up our bodies in a way that the energy that we perceive doesn't harm us. So quantum physics teaches us, and in particular the law of conservation of energy. Some of you may remember that from a physics class back in high school or college. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It only changes forms. So in the quantum universe, in the holistic universe, the holographic universe, if you will, all of the energy that's ever existed from the beginning of time is present now in the same way that it was present at the beginning. And over time, it simply changes changes forms. It goes from person to person. It goes from the earth to people, from people back to the earth, from the earth to the galaxies, from it just changes forms and it moves around. It just moves. So we're the ones who perceive the movement. Now, what happens is, over time, because we are sensitive and because we have an ability to perceive and feel, energy begins to get stuck, can begin to get stuck in our energy fields. And the lack of movement is what leads to, quote unquote, death or lack of life, if you will. And it can lead to energy illnesses, which is another very common trait of empaths and sensitive people over time. We can talk more about that later. Energy illnesses like chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia are associated with being empathic and sensitive, because if you don't know how to get the energy that you take in out of your body, then you will get sick. And that will happen over time if you don't allow it to be discharged out of your body. The only way it can be discharged out of your body and out of your energy field, which is a part of your physical body, is if you allow the earth to take it from you. Some of you may have heard this word, becoming grounded. Becoming grounded simply means that you have a connection to the earth and you allow the earth to do what it is meant to do, what its job is, and all of the indigenous cultures know this, that the earth's job is to take from you the energy that you don't need, just like trees do. Trees feed off of our waste products. They take the waste product, carbon dioxide that we breathe out, they breathe it in. To them, that's life. And what their waste product, oxygen, right? Oxygen comes from trees. That's their waste product. We thrive on that. So we have a reciprocal relationship with the earth and with trees, which are connected to the earth, that if we can connect with this distinct consciousness, the energy will leave our bodies. So, for instance, there is a technique. This is an exercise that we can each do. It's a tool of vibrational manifestation. This is what we teach in the Complete Empath Toolkit. There are hundreds of tools. Actually, there are infinite number of tools for you to vibrationally manifest in your life. And that simply means raise your vibration by connecting to the energy of the earth and by becoming grounded in your physical body. Practices that invoke physical body. So here's one of them, and we can do another one later on. This is a real simple one. It's called the breath of fire. Some of you may be aware of this. This is what the breath of fire sounds like. Very quick, intense exhalations of breath. So what I'd like you to do now is to think of something in your life that you'd like to let go of. Something, this could be a relationship with another person that you're unsure about or that maybe your gut is asking you to let go of. It can be, a belief, maladaptive belief that doesn't serve you. You believe that you're not good enough or that this money may never come to you or abundance is difficult. Whatever it is, whether it's an emotion, a relationship, a job, or a belief, call forth that now. And I want you to, the act of simply calling it forth brings it into your energy field. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to breathe it out. We're going to breathe any dissonant energy that's connected to that situation in your life, whatever it is that you want to let go of. We're going to invoke the breath and the cooperation of the lungs and the respiratory system to transmute and change that energy from one lower vibratory state in which there might be some frustration attached to it, maybe a little fear, maybe unsurety. And we're going to use the body to change it into something where you will physically feel lighter and clearer and cleaner. So ask you to breathe for 15 seconds. And I'm going to count. Let's do 20 seconds. It's a little bit more challenging. I want you to breathe like this. And this is how you do it. Pull your abdomen in towards your spine and then breathe out any air in your lungs. Okay? Now, let's do that starting now for 20 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I hear you breathing there, Debra.
Oh, I thought that I covered up the receiver.
So what are you noticing around your belly button or in your body? Do you feel any type of increased warmth or increased temperature anywhere in your body? That's very common. A little bit of lightheadedness is common.
Well, two things. One is I feel heat all over my body. And the other thing is I've actually had head pressure because I didn't get very much sleep last night. I worked way too late and got up way too early. And my head pressure went away.
There you go. So you invoked what a lot of us on the line experienced is an actual physical lightening of the subatomic particles that comprised whatever it is that you were asking to let go of. And sometimes you don't even have to ask to let go of it. It'll just leave on its own by doing the breath of fire. You don't have to have an intention attached to it. If you do, it makes it that much stronger. And yet the act of breathing in that manner for quick, short, intense bursts of time will actually help you raise your vibration by letting go of the subatomic particles that vibrate slower. And that's how you become a healthier person, a healthier human being, and a healthier empath or sensitive person. That's one of the many, again, hundreds, thousands, infinite numbers of exercises that you can do, many of which are contained in the toolkit that'll help you just become a healthier individual. And when you become healthier physically, you can allow more abundance into your life. It may seem a little strange. I have a unique take on abundance and manifestation. I firmly believe that the more that you can tune into your physical body and clear and clean out yourself physically through processes like the breath of fire, you will become more empowered and more aligned with your highest self. And because of that, because of like attracting like with the law of attraction, you therefore, the clearer and cleaner, more aligned you will be able to allow more beautiful, high vibe, wonderful, abundant energy into your life. Whereas before you might have been carrying somebody else's energy around in the form of a block in your heart or the block in somewhere else in your body. By doing those type of energy exercises, you can let go. Here's another one. Do we have time for another exercise?
Yes, absolutely.
This is very similar to what we just did. So we just did the breath of fire and we invoked the divine wisdom of the body. We're going to do it again. So again, go back to something that you'd like to let go of, something that could be a belief or an emotion. Call it forth. I want you to imagine it this time as a ball of yucky, muddy, darkish gray energy, just temporarily. It's going to leave. Temporarily call forth that as a ball of energy about 1 to 2 feet in front of your heart. Okay? Now, I want you to connect your feet to the center of the earth and imagine a line of light connecting from your heart all the way down your spine, down your legs, opening through your feet and connecting to the center of the earth. That is one of the most effective and quickest ways to ground yourself. And now I want you to breathe up from the center of the earth directly into your heart. Very slow, deep, intentional breath, and then a very slow exhale. This is a warm-up exercise for what we're about to do. We're actually going to do 3 exercises in one. That was part 1. Part 2 is now that you've grounded yourself and created a connection to allow the earth to take the energy from you, I want you to call forth that energy and imagine it as a ball of grayish light, 1 to 2 feet in your heart chakra, whatever you want to let go of. Know that it's there and know that it's about to be transformed. Here's part 2. I want you to now replace that gray energy with a ball of divine light. Just imagine it flipping a switch, boom, and it is changed now. Brightest light you can possibly imagine, emanating divine light. And I want you now to feel it And I want you to breathe it directly into your heart center and allow that energy, that ball, to move directly into your heart, opening, knowing that the divine is working with you through simply asking for this energy to be present, allowing the valves of the heart to open, knowing that it is safe right now on this call to breathe it in, to change and transmute, and that the divine, in conjunction with your body and your breath, are changing the energy. And now let's do part 3. Take it even further. This may seem very odd and awkward at first, and if so, that's fantastic, because that's exactly what we're going for. This is the type of unique exercise we include in our program. I want you to take your jaw, all the while you're still breathing in from that ball of light. I want you to focus the best you can, doing 2 things at once, to take your lower jaw and move it as far as it'll go to the left. Hold it for 3 to 4 seconds in a state of tension, and now release. And now I want you to move, continuing to breathe, move it as far as it'll go to the opposite side, to the right. Hold it in a state of tension for 3 to 4 seconds, as hard as you can without hurting yourself, and then relax. And now I want you to go back and forth on your own pacing, moving the lower jaw. This is an awkward movement. Most of us have not done this before. Hold that in a state of tension, and then relax, and then move it to the other side. And while you continue to do that motion of left to right movement with your jaw, let me explain what you're doing. You are creating new neural pathways. You're opening up new energy meridians in your body. The facial muscles, which you are invoking by doing this motion, are connected to the vagus nerve that runs from the facial muscles down the neck and into the heart, basically. That's the shorthand. You are creating new pathways. You are opening the vagus nerve and allowing the vagus nerve to do its work. Now, at night, when your eyes move in the same way that you're continuing to move left to right with your jaw, in fact, let's switch it. Let's switch it and move your eyes now. Move your eyes just like you would when you were dreaming, rapid eye movement. The eyes at night, they move, they dart back and forth, left to right. So I want you to do that process on your own rhythm. You can do it slow, you can do it fast. Just move the eyes left to right. There is a process in counseling, EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. Some of you may experience that. Science doesn't know why it works, and yet it works to eliminate trauma in your life, things that are holding you back, energy and emotions that are no longer wanted. So as you dart your eyes back and forth, and you may want to go back and invoke the jaw again, I want you to perceive the feelings in your heart of whatever it is that you were asking to let go of. If it's not already there, call it back again temporarily, and then focus on what happens in your heart when you move your jaw, when you move your eyes. And many of you will begin to notice a softening and a lightening, and energy will begin to move. You may perceive it in the form of warmth again, or tingles, or just a general feeling of lightening. You may also do what's known as a fake smile, pulling the muscles of the cheek back, exaggerating them in a very, very fake smile, like you'd see on an airline stewardess or a flight attendant. Really, really fake smile. Pull the muscles back and then relax. And then do it again. Fake smile, tension for 4 to 5 seconds, as tightly as you can without hurting yourself, and then relax. Your nervous system may respond more effectively to that motion than it did to the jaw motion. Which one did your body like the best? Ask yourself that question. And Debra, were you following along there?
Absolutely.
What'd you experience?
And the experience that I had was the one where you didn't use was, I just felt this incredible peace in my heart.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's beautiful. So soak up the peace, allow that peace to overtake you, and enjoy it. And know that you, Debra, and everyone else who did that exercise on the line, because you invoked the divine wisdom of the physical body, your ego, it probably floated away. it probably, any doubts you might have had or things you might have been thinking about before the call, I'd ask you to ask yourself the following question. Where did they go during that exercise? Where did that mind go? It probably wasn't present in that moment. And there's a very good reason why it wasn't present. It's because when you invoke the physical body and the nervous system in activities such as that, the ego must take a back seat. It must become quiet. And that peace that you felt, Debra, I would propose is a result of what happens when we invoke the physical body and the energy body and the spiritual body. When we bring them all together in a state of alignment, the ego, which is the mental body, has to shut up. It has to go away and get out of the way. And when it does that, we're all the better for it. And what you just did on the line is a perfect example of helping you to live a more healthy, abundant, joyous life. So we hope those exercises were helpful for you.
Thank you so much for these tools because, and I know that there are a lot more, but very, very powerful. And what also happened to me was I tried to think about the original yuck, like why it was yucky, and I couldn't even bring that into my space.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, the body, it's like a shield of armor. So I get asked this question all the time. How do I protect myself? How do I create a shield so that I don't perceive other people's energy so intensely? And that is an example of your protection and your shield, because when you invoke the physical body, you become grounded to the earth, whether you're aware of it or not. The earth takes the energy that you're asking to let go. It literally leaves your field. It sucks it like a vacuum cleaner out of your field, again, whether you're aware of it or not. And there you have it. That's the process of allowing you to be all that you can be and all that you already are and become aligned with your core.
That was really fantastic. And I want to find out this product that you put together for us. And I have one question before you share that with us, actually, too. You had said something about diseases like fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. And I've noticed that there is such an increase in those diseases. You never heard about them before, but you call them energy illnesses. And you said you were just going to talk a little bit more about that, because I'm very curious if there's a connection between these and being an empath.
Absolutely, there is a connection. No, I don't believe anyway that there's any accident that scientific research has shown that among the world population, the 3 to 6% of the world population that has fibromyalgia, 80% of the world population that has it are women. 80% of empaths and highly sensitive people are also women. I don't believe that's a coincidence. Now, here's why. We walk around. I'm not a medical doctor, first of all, so I want to put that out there. I'm a PhD in counseling, and yet I have a certification, multiple certifications actually, in energy medicine, polarity therapy, and other forms of energy medicine. So I do have at least some understanding with East Indian, Ayurvedic medicine, and Chinese medicine, and along with my indigenous training, that what these syndromes, such as chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, might be, and I want to just proffer that, because we're not so bold as to say this is exactly what is happening. This is just a theory. And the theory is that these syndromes may be an overaccumulation of energy, subatomic particles moving around in your body, or not moving around in the case of energy illnesses, that get accumulated, energy that gets stuck in your joints. Now, we know many forms of energy medicine and indigenous medicine know that the joints are one of the areas of the body that energy enters and exits the body, the energy that you can't necessarily see with your eyes. So the energy that moves so fast that you can't see it, the energy that is like when you look at a fan that's moving real fast. You can't see the blades moving. There's an illusion there. It looks like the fan blades are not there, when in actuality they are. They're just moving so fast you can't see them. That's what happens to you in your physical body. You have what's known as an energy field, and if you just pull your hand up to your face and really examine your hand there, and I want you to just look at the millimeter or the inch of space that is outside of the borders of your skin on your fingers. Okay? Just imagine about an inch. Look at that point. And what do you see? For most of us, we can't see the energy that's moving there. And yet I can assure you that there is energy there that's moving at a certain rate. Now, if you are one who suffers from chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia, the energy in that space is moving slower than someone who doesn't have that syndrome. Okay? So everything in the world and everything in the universe is moving, whether you're aware of it or not, and quantum physics is teaching us that. And probably most of you on the line are probably pretty savvy and at least have heard that before or have some understanding of that. So for those of you who have those challenges, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, we might even put lupus in there. We might even put what some people know as, Lyme disease. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, and medical science doesn't necessarily have the best understanding of these syndromes, okay? And yet we have a theory about what might be happening. So your job is to get that energy out of your body, out of your field, and it's through practices that are included in the special offer. You're going to learn hundreds of exercises, unique, novel, and new ones. Like most of you probably haven't moved your jaw in that way before, and yet 80 to 90% of the individuals respond to that exercise. It works. We don't know why it works, just like we don't know why we have rapid eye movement at night, and why do we move our eyes back and forth? Well, the only thing that we know is there's something about the human nervous system that responds to left-right movement. And when the eyes move in that way, some have proposed, some doctors and those in the medical field have proposed that it's the body's way of letting go of the daily experiences that you may have accumulated throughout the day. So the special offer and the Empath Toolkit includes those types of exercises that will allow you to become physically healthy, possibly for the first time in your life.
Well, that sounds fantastic, and I want to hear about it. And before you tell us the specifics of your special offer, is it possible for you to take a few minutes to share some of the amazing turnarounds that you've seen from people who have applied what you teach?
Absolutely. We teach becoming empowered. That's for whether you're an empath or not. The core of the curriculum that I've created is helping you to become empowered. And here's just a couple of individuals that have written me and shared some of the experiences that they've had with that process. So here's a quote from Jane. She says, I'm reading and listening to the Complete Empath Toolkit, and miracles are already happening. I'm hanging on every word. The grounding techniques are amazingly powerful. You've covered so many items that have been percolating in my consciousness, and I thank you for sharing your wisdom for an affordable price. And then we have Kim, who wrote in from Australia. Just ordered the Complete Empath Toolkit a few weeks back, and it's literally saving my life. Reading your books is like food for the soul. My life now makes sense. My friends, too, are blown away by the information and the tools. I cannot believe how effective some of these techniques are. So those are just two examples of people that have written me, and I keep a little folder in my email box that I pulled those from.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, we are ready to hear the special offer that you've created for us. And I highly encourage everyone to go to Michael's special offer page right now, and you can follow along as he tells us a bit about it. To access this package for yourself, just click on the special offer button on this webpage. So, Michael, can you let everyone know what they'll find there?
Absolutely. You're going to get 3 of actually 4 the ebooks that I've written. You're going to get 8 hours of audio instruction and classes that I've put together for you. And that include, and all of this material includes information about the following subjects: learning how to create sacred space, learning how to create tinctures, learning how to work with crystals and stones, learning how to have your own vision quest, learning how to do hemispheric work to unite the different halves of your brain so that you will have increased energy, you will have increased physical health. You'll get an enhanced intuition and awareness. One of the goals of me putting these materials together for you is to help you to learn how to create a stronger connection to your highest self or to spirits, your spiritual guidance system, if you will. So there's classes in there for those of you that might be interested in mediumship. There's a class on that and how to work with spirit and the spirit world. There's a class on shamanism, how to work with the energies of the earth, how to work with animals and trees. There's a class on overcoming toxic relationships and helping you become more empowered in your current relationship. There's a class on overcoming addictions and overcoming one of the biggest addictions, which is running away into your head. There is material on, best foods for grounding, the best foods for sensitive people to eat, how to give yourself a self-reflexology session, how to see the aura. There's an exercise in there that 80 to 90% of the people that do it, it's successful within probably less than a minute. That's a question I get asked a lot. How do I see this energy that you're talking about, this subatomic energy? Well, there's an exercise in there that'll be successful for you very quickly in most of the individuals that try it. So that's the core of the course. And then what I believe is really a nice bonus and an adjunct to the course is what we're calling the personal mentoring summits. This is an opportunity for you to interact with me personally. I believe in that. I love it. I love interacting with you. I love questions. And this is an opportunity for you to ask your questions, personal questions about your life, general questions. It's an opportunity for you to receive some healing energy because I do distance healing as well, and that's part of it. And I want to make that part of it. So personal mentoring summits, you'll get 2 tickets, and that's coming up later this year. And it's an opportunity for you to receive the benefits of personal interaction with myself and also with others on the call too. That's a big component of it. So you'll get an email if you purchase the Empath Toolkit with the dates and the times for that. And it will be recorded. So if you can't make the first one or if you can't make the second one, you'll get the benefits of the additional information. Sometimes just hearing other people's questions and other people's experiences is just great medicine in and of itself. So that's the offer, the Complete Empath Toolkit.
Wow. And I know something that you're also very humble about is that you do have an amazing ability to channel healing energy. And I know during these 2 mentoring summits that people will be invited to, that you actually will give people the experience of you directly channeling healing energy. And that's a real treat. And I was just looking, I mean, there's so much in here. And I love the fact that you actually teach people which crystals, all of us love crystals and we have crystals, but we don't really know which ones are for what, but you teach the best stones and crystals to fine tune and balance your sensitivity. And I also love that you teach the male versus female energy and why it's important to know the difference for sensitive people. There's just so much that all of us have always wanted to know, and it's just all here. So thank you so much for putting that together. And I have one more question that I think people are probably wanting to know. What would you say are the biggest benefits that people can expect to experience starting right away and then over time by applying what they learned in the program?
Right away, you're going to get the increased energy. You're going to feel lighter and clearer and cleaner. That goes without saying. That's instantaneously when you put those exercises to work. Long term, you're going to get increased physical health. You're going to get an enhanced intuition and awareness. You definitely will begin to feel more confident and trusting about you, yourself, just as a person, and then also confident and trusting about messages and information that you may be receiving from your quote unquote highest self or source or your spiritual guidance system. That is something that, to a person, when you put those techniques to use, you will perceive and experience with you is that just confidence and trust in your connection to spirit. And then, of course, short-term and long-term, just a lightening of your burdens. You're going to raise your vibration, because that's what all of these classes, it's what all of the books, the 4 ebooks, the 8 hours of audio are designed to do, along with those summits, is to help you find out who you really are. And I would capitalize who you really are. I would put capital letters with that statement, because you are divine at your core. And it only takes finding a practice or a ritual to connect yourself with experiencing and knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt. There's a difference between knowing intellectually and knowing on an energetic, emotional, and even a physical level about who you really are. And this material will help you know beyond a shadow of a doubt who you really are.
Well, you know that I'm a big fan of your work, and
vice versa.
Well, in your offer, you just keep adding more and more, and it's just, I really, really have to say that I so strongly encourage people to take advantage of this, because it's so powerful. I know that from personal experience. So if this resonates with you, I strongly encourage you to click on the special offer button to learn more. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with everyone before we go?
It's just an honor and a pleasure to speak with you. I hope that you found it to be beneficial. I love sharing, and I love hearing from you. So feel free to contact me at my website. And then also, I just encourage you as a final thought to, whatever you do, take an action today. Choose to take an action that will move you closer to who you really are. You are on this call for a reason, and you've listened this long. If you've made it this far on the call, for a reason. Your highest self is speaking to you, asking you to take an action, whatever it is, right? To take an action that will move you closer to experiencing who you really are. So take a yoga class. Listen to your gut. If it's been telling you to go sign up to volunteer down at the soup kitchen, do that. Whatever it is that you do, take an action today, right now. And it can be as simple as saying hello to your gut. That's an action, right? Take an action. Tell someone you love them. Offer up a prayer of gratitude to Creator. That's an action. Take an action right now to further yourself along your path. And you'll be helping yourself, and you'll be helping those to whom you're connected, your relatives and loved ones. And of course, you'll be helping the entire circle, which includes me as well. So I thank you in advance for doing that.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. And the action that we all want to take right now is to tell you that we love you.
Oh.
And really, this has been extraordinary. You're an extraordinary gift to the planet. And thank you so much for being with us.
Truly my pleasure, Debra.
And thank you to everyone for spending this time with me and with Dr. Michael Smith. And we look forward to the time that we could all be together again. Take care and have a fabulous rest of your day.